The National League West lead resides in the Valley of the Sun. It's D-backs Baxter's birthday today. It's Bark in the Park Dog Day at Chase Field, and it's all brought to you by the Sanderson Ford. A lot going on inside at Chase Field as your first place Diamondbacks wrap up this quick 3-game homestand against the rival San Francisco Giants, and it is tight in this division. The Diamondbacks in first place all by themselves, but the Giants and Rockies right behind, only 2.5 games off the pace. Good afternoon from Chase Field and welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthume, Bob Brenly back with you. Diamondbacks and Giants series finale here before it's back out on the road again. And an interesting pitching matchup here today. You have the veteran Chad Gaudin, a reliever for the Giants, filling in for the injured Ryan Vogelsong, and Bob, the youngster Tyler Skaggs, filling in for the injured Brandon McCarthy.
Now, as far as the Giants are concerned, Chad Gaudin, kind of a safety net, as you mentioned, has been a reliever throughout most of his career. His stuff doesn't grade out as plus, but he keeps the ball down in the zone. Very effective veteran pitcher. Tyler Skaggs has been amazing at times, workmanlike at other times already in his early starts this season against the Texas Rangers. An emergency start in that Memorial Day doubleheader. He was fantastic. Everything was working well, including his third pitch, that straight changeup, which turned out to be a very good weapon for him. Last time out against the Cardinals, the victim of a blown call at third base, did give up a couple homers in that game, but the terrible call at third base cost Tyler Skaggs a win.
Going to be fun here at Chase Field. Big crowd expected. 1,000 of them are canines here on Bark in the Park night at Chase Field. When we come back, we'll wrap it up and get you set for first pitch with 1,000 dogs. We're barking in the park at Chase Field. Diamondbacks baseball comes your way. Brought to you by Sanderson Ford. You're watching Fox Sports Arizona. First pitch coming up. Sunday Baseball is brought to you by Sanderson Ford. The Diamondbacks 35-27, leading the National League West by 2.5 games over both these Giants and the Colorado Rockies. They've won 5 of their last 8 overall, taking the field right now. We're set for the series and quick homestand finale. Right now, let's turn it to the PA announcer here at Chase Field. Here's Jeff Munn.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats. Direct your attention to the field as we honor the United States of America and pay tribute to our veterans, active duty, and retired men and women of our armed services. The Arizona Diamondbacks and the San Francisco Giants invite you to join in the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner, performed by Stephanie Ochoa, as part of the Intel Great Place to Work group.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Last 20. Their rotation is in tatters, and they're on their longest road stretch of the season. This is the lineup that Bruce Bochy, Bob Brentley, puts out tonight.
We're talking to Bruce Bochy before the game today. This Giants team has always been built around pitching and defense, but their offense ranks 3rd in the National League in team batting average. They're right in the middle of the pack in runs scored. He's not quite sure how they're doing it, but Bruce Bochy's forced to be a little bit of a different kind of manager this year because of the struggles of his pitching staff and his porous defense.
On the mound for the third time this year at the major league level, young Tyler Skaggs, the big loopy curveball, and something new we'll talk about over the course of this game, Bob, that changeup. He's now a 3-pitch guy.
Yeah, it's really been a good pitch. Still developing. He will have inconsistency with it, but surprisingly quick progress with that straight changeup.
Andres Torres leads it off. 1-1. Torres 264, 2 homers and 12 RBIs. He was hitless last night, but did have a walk, scored a run, RBI sac fly. And he drives that one down the line and right. Not a play. Hunter Wendelstedt has the play tonight. Your umpiring crew as follows. Mark Ripperger in there for the injured Jerry Lane at first. And there's Greg Gibson, the crew chief, down at third. Alan Porter, who had the plate in the series opener Friday, is at second base. Center field. It drops in front of A.J. Pollock. Torres aboard. Defensively, the Diamondbacks look as follows. Jason Kubel in left and Cliff Pennington getting the start at second base.
Jason Kubel in the lineup because of his career numbers against Chad Godin. He's 7 for 10 lifetime with a couple of home runs. Pollock in center, Parra over in right field. Cliff Pennington getting the nod at second base today.
Good to see Jason's left-hand power bat in the lineup against the righty Chad Godin. Marco Scutaro. .324. 7th in the league in hitting. 12th in on base percentage at .378. Andres Torres has stolen 2 bases this year. He's been caught once.
Because of his frame and his delivery, the way he gets on top of the baseball, really uses his height to his advantage out there on the mound. Tyler Skaggs can make an 89-mile-per-hour fastball look a lot quicker. He will creep up into the low 90s from time to time, but comfortably pitches right around 90.
That fastball this year averaging 90.7 miles per hour. Tyler Skaggs, 6'5", 215, just 21 years old, turns 22 next month. And this is the 3-pitch mix that we'll talk about today. And you can see the percentages. That's the encouraging thing. That curve is the signature pitch, but the changeup percentage is right behind. Very close, so that's a good mix. 2-2 to Marco Scutaro. This is there. It's full.
Now, one of the issues that Tyler Skaggs is going to have with that big curveball is the fact not only is it tough to hit, it's tough to call for a home plate umpire. It breaks so far and so late that occasionally he'll drop that pitch on the inside corner, but because it started high and away from a right-handed hitter, he won't get the call. Umpires need to see a little bit more of Tyler Skaggs and become aware of that big curveball.
And it's not a pitch a whole lot of guys throw, right? Barry Zito was one that comes to mind, but Torres takes off. Scutaro drives it to center. It drops in front of Pollock. Andres Torres to third. No throw. First and third, no outs for the Giants. Torres running on the pitch, made it easily into third base.
And we talked about this just the other day. If you're a base runner on the move on the pitch and the ball is put into play, especially in the air, you might as well just keep running, because chances are if that ball is caught, they're going to double you off first base anyway. So just keep rolling and hope it drops in. You may have been able to hear on our field mics there, I believe it was Tim Flannery screaming, "Come on, come on, come on." Just keep running.
So Scutaro 4 for 9 in the series so far. Buster Posey steps in, hitting .300. 3 RBIs last night, including his 8th home run of the year. Buster Posey getting on base at a .381 clip this season. That's good for 10th best in the league. 1 spot ahead of both Gerardo Parra and Marco Scutaro. Tyler Skaggs in early trouble here.
Posey hit a long, well, no, it wasn't really that long, but it was in the air a long time. Towering fly ball to left field for a 2-run homer last night. Snuck it up into the bleachers in left field and narrowly missed one his last at bat of the game. Another deep, high fly ball to center field that was tracked down on the warning track.
Nice pitch by Skaggs. He's ahead 1-2.
That's a straight changeup from Tyler Skaggs. And that's a great location for it. I talked about his height and his ability to get that ball going on a downhill plane into the hitting zone. And when you throw that changeup, that's a devastating pitch to get a good hitter like Buster Posey to chase one in the dirt.
It's by Prado. 1-0 Giants. RBI single for Buster Posey. 3 straight singles to begin the game for San Francisco.
Well, to say that the Giants have broken out here in the last couple of games is an understatement. In their previous 6 games, they were 5 for 40 with runners in scoring position, with that base hit by Buster Posey with the runner in scoring position. Now 5 for their last 14.
Miguel Montero will have a quick discussion with his pitcher. Hunter Pence, a home run last night that led off the 7th inning against Will Harris. It was Pence's 10th home run this year. 9 have been solo shots, but he's up with men on first and second and still no one out. This is their 2-0. These two, despite Tyler's youth, have seen something of each other. This is last September.
September 14th with the bases loaded. Hunter Pence reaches out there, gets full extension, backspin one into the bleachers in the left.
Look out. That bat bounces off several rows of seats behind the Diamondbacks dugout.
Looks like everybody's okay down there. Fortunately, the first contact that bat made was with an empty seat. Slowed down some of the momentum, ricocheted up there, and that young man ends up with a souvenir. Look out.
Thankfully, everyone appears to be fine. And it's a 2-1 count on Hunter Pence.
I'm surprised every dog in the ballpark didn't chase that bat. Fetch.
Miguel Montero keeps everyone on their bases. It's 3-1 now. Hunter Pence, 2 hits and 9 plate appearances in the series so far. Marco Scutaro at second, Buster Posey at first. And he likes hitting here. Most guys do.
Yeah, this ballpark is widely recognized by National League hitters as one of the favorites, along with Coors Field up in Colorado for obvious reasons.
Lost him, bases loaded, nobody out. So the first 4 have reached against Tyler Skaggs. Charles Nagy to the mound.
Hey, you look at the leadoff base hit by Torres was struck well to left center field for a leadoff single, but then Scudero, a little jam shot that dropped in. Buster Posey's was just a ground ball that found a hole in the left side. But occasionally a young pitcher, when he gives up some cheap hits like that, especially early in the ball game, now all of a sudden you want to try to miss bats, try to nibble a little bit, and that's appeared to be what Tyler Skaggs did in that at bat by Hunter Pence. Ended up walking him.
And it's been a week where we've seen the top 2 pitchers, Bob, in this rotation get whacked and hard. Ian Kennedy in St. Louis, Trevor Cahill last night. Brandon McCarthy is injured. They need Tyler Skaggs to step up here.
Absolutely, and really doesn't need to do anything more than he has done in his first 2 starts. As we mentioned in the open of the show, he was fantastic against the Rangers on that doubleheader day. And very workmanlike in his outing against a red-hot Cardinals offense.
Joaquin Arias. It drops in front of Pollock. The run scores. Everyone else holds up. Bases still loaded. Still no outs. And the Giants have a 2-0 lead. Arias in there for Pablo Sandoval, who left last night after aggravating a foot injury.
Well, once again, not a bad pitch. Out on that outside corner, down around the knees. Just a better piece of hitting by Joaquin Arias. Drive home the second run of the game for the Giants.
And now this could be trouble. Because if you've watched the D-backs and the Giants, you know Brandon Belt has tortured Arizona all season long. Three for 5 last night with 3 singles. As he's been all season, a problem for the Diamondbacks and almost no one else. Look at these numbers. This is just this year. Oh, 0-2.
May seem kind of funny to hear these words come out of my mouth, but for me, you pitch Brandon Belt the same way we used to pitch Barry Bonds. Just stay away. Fastballs away, change-ups away, breaking balls away. Belt has proven to me, and certainly has proven to the D-backs pitching staff, he's quick inside. You may think you can sneak a fastball in there on the inside corner or even farther inside, but he has the ability to get the barrel on that pitch, as he has proven time and time again.
He came into this series hitting a .175 in his previous 14 games, but 4 for 9 so far this weekend.
He's been out of the game for some time now, but teams are still trying to figure out how to get Barry Bonds out.
No one's come up with a solution.
Nothing seemed to work with any consistency.
Tyler Skaggs facing his 6th hitter of this inning, still looking for his first out. And he just missed there. It's 2-2.
Big breaking curveball. Just tough to find the strike zone with that pitch. In order to throw it for a strike, he needs to start it a little bit behind Brandon Belt.
Right to Cliff Pennington, a chance to double up Arias, but he's back in time, says Mark Ripperger.
Well, unfortunately, that ball hit right on the button. Just not enough time for Paul Goldschmidt or Didi Gregorius or any of the other infielders to get to the bag in time to double off any one of the Giants runners. Arias just avoids that tag, getting back in safely.
And now making his major league debut, this is Juan Perez. Born in the Dominican Republic, high school in the Bronx, played at Western Oklahoma State Junior College. A 13th round pick by the Giants in 2008. Angel Pagan on the DL, and Juan Perez at 26 years old getting his first major league at bat right now. Called up from AAA Fresno on Friday, taking Pagan's roster spot. He spent most of his career playing the outfield. He's in center field tonight. 57 games with AAA Fresno this year. He hit .296, 9 home runs and 34 RBIs. Lifts that one high down the right side. Look at Cliff Pennington. Go get it! What a play by Cliff Pennington. Everyone holds up, and how big an out is that? Wow! He ran about a mile and a half to go get that one. full sprint.
I mean, there is nothing controlled about that effort until the very end when he finally broke it down and made that over-the-shoulder catch. Has the presence of mind to get that ball quickly back into home plate to hold the runners. That's as good a play as you can see on that fly ball into foul territory.
Bases still loaded, now 2 outs. Posey at third, Pence at second, Ari is still at first. Brandon Crawford steps in, and this guy had a big night last night. 4 for 5, including an RBI double in the second. 1-0. Crawford at 292. He's got 5 home runs, 26 RBIs. Couple of grand slams on the resume. A big out there recorded by the hustle from Cliff Pennington, and now Skaggs needs to get out of this one with only 2 runs on the board. Fastball 2-1. Two and two.
But for me, partner, it's imperative that Tyler Skaggs finds the command of that curveball quickly. I mean, if opposing hitters can just disregard one of your pitches because you can't throw it for strikes, it's going to be difficult to work your way through any lineup.
You don't want it to be a chase pitch per se. You want him to throw it for strikes.
I think he needs to prove that he can throw it for strikes. Then it becomes an effective chase pitch.
There. Got him. Huge outs there recorded by the Diamondback defense, and Tyler Skaggs gets Crawford with the bases loaded, and the Giants leave him full. But 4 hits in the inning, 2 runs. It's 2-0 San Francisco. Two 2-0 Giants lead the Diamondbacks set for the bottom of the first at Chase Field. The Diamondback starting lineup is brought to you by Scottsdale Healthcare.
Didi Gregorius back up in that 2 spot against a right-hander today. We mentioned Jason Kubel with great career numbers against Chad Godin. He's in the lineup as well.
Chad Godin's 11th year in the big leagues, used mostly as a reliever throughout his career. 333 appearances, only 76 starts. In fact, Godin's previous start for the Giants, which came a week ago today in St. Louis, was his first start since 2009. And he actually pitched really well against the Cardinals. 2 runs on 4 hits in 6 innings with 5 strikeouts. He got the win.
Fastball, slider, changeup mix for Godin. None of them would grade out as plus pitches. His fastball will sit in the low 90s, but his forte is command, keeping that ball down around the knees, trying to get some ground balls. Tampa Bay, Toronto, Oakland, San Diego, the Yankees, Oakland, the Yankees again, the Nationals, the Marlins, and now the Giants for Chad Joe Godin. Means he's got a garage full of duffel bags.
From Louisiana, a 34th round pick by the then Tampa Bay Devil Rays back in 2001. Gerardo Parra leads it off. Parra 314, 5 home runs and 20 RBIs. Having a simply sensational season, back in the leadoff spot today.
Oh, I left out the Cubs.
Well, maybe there's a mental block on your part. Parra's 44th start in the leadoff spot this season so far, batting .312 as the leadoff man. 37 runs scored in 43 games. That one is high in the air to left field. Andres Torres drifting toward the line. One away. Don't forget, write in on your All-Star ballot. Gerardo Parra not listed on the ballot, but he deserves to be an All-Star, so the campaign continues. Join the write-in campaign. Get him to Citi Field on June 17th, or pardon me, in July. You can vote here until June 17th or at MLB.com, and as we saw last night, with that outstanding effort by those D-backs fans, you could just come down to the ballpark and keep punching ballots.
Grab a stack of ballots and go to work.
Didi Gregorius. 316, 4 homers and 14 driven in. Didi is 1 for 6 in the series so far. Bark in the Park Day. You did not bring your dog. You held firm on that one. Although I think, frankly, it's a travesty that someone is dog sitting during Bark in the Park weekend and doesn't bring the dog.
You don't know the dog as well as I do.
Is it one of those little Paris Hilton in your purse dogs?
A little bit bigger than that.
All right.
A little ball of fur.
Well, how much trouble could he be?
Well, I don't know. I would let him stay on your side of the booth just in case he was any trouble.
We have 1,000 or so registered dogs here for Bark in the Park Day. One of 2 that will hold at Chase Field this year.
I was afraid he may leave some souvenirs up here in the booth, and I just didn't think any of us needed that.
Well, we appreciate it. On the ground to second, Marco Scutaro. Different look to the Giants, Bob, defensively, with Juan Perez making his major league debut in center field.
Yeah, out there in center field, filling in for the injured Angel Pagan. Arias filling in for the injured Pablo Sandoval at third base. The rest of the guys pretty much standard lineup for Bruce Bochy. I mentioned his team has struggled defensively. They've made 40 errors this season. Only the Brewers, the Cubs, the Nationals, and the Dodgers have a worse fielding percentage in the National League.
Paul Goldschmidt. Here's a strike, 0-1. Goldie 326, 15 home runs, and 58 RBIs. That leads the National League by 9 ahead of Troy Tulowitzki. Third in the league in home runs with 15, behind only Dominic Brown and Carlos Gonzalez. Center field, Perez on the run in front of the pool, and he makes a tremendous catch in his major league debut. Go get it, Juan Perez, and he's down for the count. He just took extra bases away from the National League's RBI leader. And that will end his first career major league inning in the outfield, and what a way to do it. From the Bronx, New York, a 13th round pick by the Giants in the 08 draft in his first major league inning in the outfield. Look at Juan Perez.
Boy, barely able to protect himself as he crashed into that barrier out there in front of the RamTrucks.com pool. Chad Godin digging it out there on the mound. Boy, what a great running catch by Perez. We didn't know much about him coming into this ball game. Looking through the media guide, playing for the Richmond Flying Squirrels last year. He had 13 outfield assists and obviously can cover a lot of ground out there.
Chad Godin, Andres Torres, Marco Scutaro, 9-1-2 in the Giants' second against Tyler Skaggs. There's a strike, 0-1. Skaggs with an enormous strikeout to get Brandon Crawford and leave the bases loaded in the first. Chad Godin 0 for 4 at the plate this year. A couple of strikeouts. And add one more.
Lefty, Andres Torres.
Tyler Skaggs' signature pitch is that big looping curveball we've talked about. But as Miguel Montero has told us, the danger with that slow curveball can be giving hitters too many looks at it, because you know, it is something that a guy can sit back on, kind of get a feel for, Bob, I guess, and then maybe get one and turn on it.
Well, I think we saw that going from his first start against the Rangers, where he used the curveball extensively, to his second start against the Cardinals, where he used it sparingly. Threw more straight changeups, commanded his fastball a little bit better.
Hard to left, Jason Kubel coming in. 2 down.
I mean, it's a tremendous weapon to have and can be effective even if you know it's coming. That's how good that curveball is. But I think as part of his progress as a major league pitcher, Tyler's going to need to learn moving forward how to use all of his pitches, not just rely so heavily on that curveball.
We mentioned Barry Zito as kind of a comp for the type of pitch. It's a pitch that Bob mentioned you don't see a whole lot of these days. Not a lot of guys throw that. Everybody's, you know, slider, cutter, two-seamer.
Well, it is a much tougher pitch to command, as we saw in that first inning for Tyler. Just couldn't seem to get it in the strike zone until the strike 3 to Brandon Crawford. But when you are throwing it for strikes, those are the kind of days you rack out double-digit strikeout totals, low hits.
Can drive guys nuts. You see those big wild swings and misses at those looping curveballs dropping off the table. And as we mentioned, he's been mixing in a lot more changeups to create that genuine 3-pitch mix, not just once in a while, too. Very consistently. In fact, if you go to brooksbaseball.net, it'll tell you that coming into today, Tyler Skaggs so far 40 curveballs and 36 changeups, which is a great ratio. And it shows how he's picked up that third pitch and become more effective and more consistent with that changeup. Ooh, that one missed, apparently. 2-out walk on Bark in the Park. Look at that. We've hooked up a camera to one of the canines at Chase Field, and this is Dog Cam. And that's Dax. Do we have a shot from Dog Cam? Well, we're recording the shot, and then we'll get that to you. So we're going to walk poor Dax around in circles to make the video look a little cooler.
Dax didn't know he was going to have to work so hard when he came to the ballpark today.
Second walk issued by Tyler Skaggs. Buster Posey, RBI single his first time. Skaggs quickly ahead 0-2. Already at 48 pitches, 28 for strikes. Bob, when you throw a curveball that has that high arc to it, I've noticed here the last few batters that Tyler is elevating that fastball. Is there an eye line thought for the hitter there?
There certainly can be, especially if you throw that fastball up and away to a right-handed hitter, because that curveball is going to come out of very nearly the same release point, but take the break and end up down and into the right-handed hitter.
I mean, so often we hear about, especially with all the guys that throw two-seam sinking fastballs. Tyler's is a four-seam rising fastball, but we always hear keep that fastball down, keep it down, keep it down. But in Tyler's case here, seems to be elevating.
Yeah, we've heard it said many times, change the eye level of a hitter. If every pitch is down there around knee level, which is normally where you want to throw the ball, but if every pitch is down there, a hitter kind of gets locked in on that location and can get his swing to that ball. Every now and then, airmail one up there, shoulder high, eye high, just to change his eye level a little bit and get him off of that low pitch.
Got him. Ring him up, sit him down. 3 strikeouts for Tyler Skaggs. Bottom 2 on the way. Dog cam on Bark in the Park at Chase Field.
To kind of decide to do it, but there was a brief period where I wasn't sure where I was mentally, if I wanted to try it again or not, but it wasn't that long. I just kind of thought about it for a while and figured I'd hate myself if I didn't try it. 5 years from now I probably couldn't look myself in the mirror if I didn't try again, so we're gonna give it another go, and if something happens where I throw my last pitch in baseball, and so be it, but I got to give it another shot.
There you have it, my first chance to talk to Daniel Hudson since re-tearing the ligament in his elbow back on June 4th in his first rehab start. That was for AA Mobile, and as he said, he's made that decision. He just needed a couple of days to get his mind around it, another year ahead, if not more, to come back from his second Tommy John surgery, guys. So he told me that he's going to hopefully see Dr. James Andrews later on this week.
Thank you, Jody, and we wish Daniel Hudson all the best, of course, and we know that Huddy will be back. Just a little bit of a delay and a speed bump here.
If there is an upside to it, it's the fact that he has so recently gone through the rehabilitation process. There'll be no surprises this time. He knows exactly what he has to do to get back throwing the baseball, and absolutely, we wish him the best of luck.
Miguel Montero lifts that one just over third, and Crawford goes and tracks it down in shallow left. This was a tweet from Daniel Hudson, who's always active on the Twitter, and this is Huddy the other day. Adversity is a fact of life. It can't be controlled. What we can control is how we react to it. Fall down 7 times, stand up 8. That from Daniel Hudson at DHuddy41.
Boy, what a great attitude to have.
Montero retired. Martin Prado. Martin at 252, hitless in the series so far, 0 for 6. I keep thinking of Pablo Sandoval with that Panda Express sign behind the hitter all the time.
So does he.
He may be there now. Oh, man. 0-2. Really? Really?
Yeah, good day to wear a furry cap. About 190 degrees outside.
Prado lifts that one into shallow right. Brandon Belt backing up, has it 2 down. A reminder, every time a Diamondbacks player hits a home run this season, Fulton Homes donates $150 to the Central Arizona Mountain Rescue Association. The Panda Express has been slowed somewhat by that aggravated foot injury. He's not in the lineup. In fact, he's having an MRI.
Joaquin Arias filling in at third base, quite capably, I might add. Solid defender down there, and has already come up with a big RBI base hit for the Giants back in that first inning.
He made some key defensive plays at third in the Matt Cain perfect game last year. Jason Kubel 246, 3 home runs, 18 RBIs. And how about these numbers versus Chad Godin?
Crazy numbers against Godin. And as we've mentioned, Godin likes to work down there around the bottom of the kneecaps, and Jason Kubel's a real good low ball hitter. This figures to be a great matchup for him.
He took a session in the batting practice cage yesterday that caught Kirk Gibson's attention. Jason really looked good swinging the bat yesterday in BP. Trying to come back from that quad injury that's nagged him all year. Lifts that one high in the air. Juan Perez in center, calling off Harpence. And it's a 1-2-3 second for Chad Godin. An 8-pitch inning. It's 2-0 Giants through 2. Well, sometimes on Bark in the Park Day, you can get all tangled up. Leads to our AT&T Twitter poll question. What's your favorite dog breed? Put hashtag FSAZ in front of either Retriever, Bulldog, German Shepherd, Terrier, or other. Did we leave any out?
Well, probably a few, but yeah, those are the big breeds.
Oh, how about the Doggy Viats? Is that a visor? No, it's a full cap there. Sedona red hat. Nice work.
Paws up on the railing there. Man, focus.
Hunter Pence. Walked his first time. 2 hits and 10 plate appearances in the series so far. That one's out to left. Here comes Jason Kubel on the run. Didi going out. And Didi Gregorius can't hang on. Hunter Pence is into second base. Look at how far he is, Bob, out in that outfield. That's Jason Kubel's ball. He spun and took a big divot out of that ground, but Jason had to back off after coming in.
Pence has driven the ball pretty well in this series. Kubel was playing deep to begin with, just could not make up the ground. Nice effort by Didi. Look at him looking straight back over his head. Had he not planted his knee in the ground as hard as he did right there, he may have made that play anyway.
Boy, he's lucky not to be injured on that one. He hit that ground hard. It scored as a double for Hunter Pence, his 18th of the year. Joaquin Arias. Drove in the Giants' second run with an RBI single his first time up. Right to Didi. One away in the third. Now, Scottish Terrier, yeah. Do you think these dogs have any idea that it's Bark in the Park Day?
They don't know.
How aware is the dog that it's their day at the ballpark? I thought you had to have dog days in August.
I played with some teammates that were dogs.
Such as?
No. We're not going to go there. Although there have been players that carry dog-like names. Yeah. Brian Bark, Len Barker, Keith Shepard. The guy back in the early 50s named Pablo Labrador.
No, they're what? You're making that up.
No.
Stop. Hold on.
Right out of Baseball Reference.
I'm going to Baseball Reference right now.
The last one is my favorite. George Bone.
Pablo, where is it? Is it? It's not even on the list.
On Baseball Reference, there's a Pablo Labrador.
Labrador.
Yeah.
Typing it in as we speak.
Great player.
Born in 1930. He was a switch hitter, Pablo Labrador. Here's Pablo Labrador. Brandon Belt. Excuse me, right back to the mound. Hunter Pence to third. And they get the out at first. Pablo Labrador, from what I can tell, never played in the big leagues. So that just, I think you're disqualified.
Oh, okay.
He played from 1950 through 1954. He was a pitcher.
A lot of nicknames. We showed you some. The Wonder Dog, Rex Hudler. Mad Dog, Greg Maddux. The Crime Dog, Fred McGriff.
Pablo Labrador, 39 and 45, career minor leaguer. Down the line, that's a fair ball. Nice play on the backhand by Prado. Goldie can't scoop it up. A run scores. Juan Perez is in at second base, and the Giants have a 3-0 lead.
A long way to go to get to that ball on the backhand side, just into foul territory. Unfortunately, that was a long hop rather than a nice short hop that Goldie could smother over there at first base. I would guess that would be a hit and then an error.
It's a single, E5. No RBI, 3-0 now. Juan Perez is having quite a debut. A spectacular running catch into the wall in right center, and now his first major league hit. Brandon Crawford struck out to end the first.
Now they're just going to intentionally put Crawford on base and take their chances with Chad Godin with 2 outs in the inning. I think if Tyler Skaggs was commanding that curveball a little bit better today, you may choose to go after the 8-hitter in this situation. Ideally, you retire him and then have Godin leading off in the 4th inning. But Tyler's thrown a couple of good curveballs in this game, but for the most part just hasn't been able to get it close to the strike zone to get some swings and misses, some called strikes.
Now that is a good look right there. Is that goggles apparently?
Dog may end up in the RamTrucks.com pool with those goggles on.
Crawford aboard on the intentional walk. 1st and 2nd, 2 outs. Chad Godin. They gave Juan Perez an RBI on that hit, so he got his first career hit and first career RBI. That seems a bit generous.
Well, I think the official scorekeeper is figuring that the run would score on the base hit, but then the 90 feet from 1st to 2nd had to be accounted for. That's where the error came in, kind of after the fact.
Are dogs allowed in the RamTrucks.com pool? Have to look in the bylaws.
Well, some of the breeds of dogs that are here today would be very at home in the pool, but I'm not quite sure what the policy is here at Chase Field.
Tyler Skaggs gets Chad Godin for the 2nd time today. Giants add a run. It's 3-0 San Francisco. Chase Field, Major League Baseball first-year player draft just completed. The Diamondbacks, with their first 6 picks, did exceptionally well, leading off with Braden Shipley, the pitcher from Nevada, who we're told fell to the Diamondbacks at 15th overall. And Bob, we have a special guest to explain exactly what happened here.
We'll go right to the source. Ray, thanks for joining us. Ray Montgomery, the director of amateur scouting for the Diamondbacks, and I guess it probably won't know for a couple of years, but I got to believe you're pretty pleased with the players that you were able to acquire this year.
Very much so, very much so. Steve, you bring up a good point, and it's nice when a guy like Braden's there when you're looking at the 15th pick and you can get what you feel is going to be a rotation starter down the road, and very pleasantly surprised.
Did you subscribe to the theory that you can never have too much pitching? Because I look at the Diamondbacks organizationally and see tons of pitching at all levels. Thought, oh, maybe they'll go get a bat, but no, first 2 picks were pitchers.
Yeah, I try to stay out of actually, getting into what we do have some more of or not enough of. When it comes to pitching, I don't think you can ever have enough. So it was best player available at the time we picked.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is there an organizational philosophy? I know some organizations just pick the best athlete that's available when it's their turn to pick. Other teams try to plug specific needs, you know, looking 2 or 3 or 4 years down the road and kind of trying to figure out where the need may be. Do the Diamondbacks have a specific philosophy?
Definitely a philosophy, but I think KT gives us the flexibility to kind of go out and get the best player available. Now, I will tell you, as a former pitcher, he might be more inclined to go the pitching direction. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I guess it just depends on who's available when you're making that pick.
Ray, how intense is the process? Let's pick a timeline here, say 6 weeks before the draft and then right up until draft day.
Pretty intense. It starts off with a slow roll in January when we get back out in the field with our guys, and then by the time we get 3 weeks out, we grind it out pretty good on a daily basis in the room, and we've spent the better part of the last 10 to 14 days in there, trapped, sequestered, if you will. But at the end, it works out really well.
And I've always heard stories about these rooms where scouts and everybody has their guy, and everyone wants to push their guy. What is that process like?
It's like sitting in a courtroom and listening to who litigates the best. Certainly there are guys that are better at it than others and have to sift through the emotions on the player, but I don't ever want to take that away from the guys because that's what separates, you know, who their guy really is.
Cliff Pennington just over the glove of Crawford at short. First Diamondbacks hit. And Cliff Pennington has now hit safely in 8 of his last 9 games. Look out for the blow dart in that dugout.
I've been fortunate enough, Ray, to be in a war room during a draft, and obviously a lot can change very quickly. You may have some guys that you've targeted as your next pick, and they may get snagged the pick or two in front of you, and you've got to adjust quickly on the fly.
It's for sure. I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you that yesterday we had our hearts broken on a couple different occasions. But I'm trying to think a couple, 3 picks ahead, probably just like you did when you were in the dugout.
Godin can't get a handle on it, and he pulls the throw off the bag. Scudero covering second, pulled off the bag on the bad throw by Godin. Diamondbacks have a pair of base runners with 1 out here, and Tyler Skaggs is aboard.
Well, that had disaster written it all over it. Godin starts to juggle that ball, ends up with his back to first base when he finally does get a handle on the ball. Giants are fortunate that one didn't end up down the right field line. Pretty nice play by Scudero just to make that quick adjustment. He didn't have a lot of time to get over there into foul territory and make that play. That'll be ruled a sacrifice for Tyler Skaggs and an E1 on Chad Godin.
So, Ray, what can you tell us specifically about Braden Shipley from Nevada?
I can certainly tell you that he's a good athlete, as we've heard before. Former all-conference shortstop in Nevada. Made the transition in his end of his freshman year into the summer of his sophomore year, and has really just progressed from there. 6'3", 195 pounds. He's excited to be in the National League. He even mentioned that he's ready to swing the bat and be a part of that too. So.
Yeah, I just saw 130 pitches last weekend, and he's going to face, I guess he just did face UNLV recently.
Yeah, that was his one of his final starts. They completed their season, so he's been home staying in shape, and I know he's excited to get going and get out and get started with us.
And it's interesting. As you mentioned, he was a shortstop, so he's fairly new to pitching. So does that make you think maybe there's a higher ceiling other than what he's shown because he's still learning how to pitch?
Absolutely, yeah. It's one of those things where he still has technique things he needs to work on, and he still has a couple things he needs to iron out, and he just needs to get the innings and the experience through certain situations that in college don't often present themselves that they will in pro ball. And I know just from talking with him, he recognizes that too, which gives you a little sense about the feel he has, not only on the mound, but just about who he is as a player.
And Ray, if we could ask you just to talk a little bit about your 34th pick in the draft this year, and explain to the fans the circumstances surrounding that pick.
Sure. I've gotten a few emails and texts about that, and the one thing I will say is this one we got right, no matter what happens in this draft. And the story should be about Corey Hahn and nobody else. He's an inspiration. Everybody who's come in contact with him. He had a terrible accident in his first college game over there at ASU, where he slid into second base on an attempted steal and unfortunately fractured the vertebrae in his neck and became paralyzed. That in and of itself is a horrendous part of the story, but the way he's handled it since and the way the family has rallied around him has been incredible. He's on track to graduate next spring. Derek was kind enough to come in and announce the pick. We thought it was appropriate as a former Sun Devil, and it was a very emotional time in our room, as I'm sure it was for those who heard about it. And I know the industry in general, because we kind of let MLB know what we were planning and some of the other clubs. We're anxiously anticipating it, and like I said earlier, to me it was a moment I'll never forget.
Center field, Juan Perez right to him. Pennington bluffs at second and stop there. 2 on, 2 out now.
Hopefully down the road there'll be a spot, where Corey can be a part of the Diamondback family, like Derek said, and Derek has been tremendous about it all the way through.
Well, obviously, you're always looking to add good players that make contributions on the field, but as an organization, you just want to add good people that'll make contributions in any capacity.
Without a doubt. I used to joke with Jack Zarincic, my former boss, that he's signed a lot of good scouts. So you do. You're looking for character people. You're looking for people who can contribute in a lot of different ways, and this one in particular will always be special.
And we had Jamie Westbrook from Chandler here yesterday. I saw him hitting in the cage a bit. What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, Jamie's a 17-year-old high school shortstop who we project will move over to second base in the pro game. Infectious personality. If you spent any time with him yesterday, he gets it. He's a very bright kid. The tools, the bat, and the speed. And I think he knows that. He's part of our Arizona Elite Scout team out here in Valley, and he loves swinging the bat. So I know he was nervous yesterday, but I think at the end of it, he came out of it feeling pretty good.
And he was going to go play at Pepperdine, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. And now he's a Diamondback. Well, he's not signed yet, right? Now the process of signing all these guys begins, right?
Correct. We have a few guys in line that we think we'll have no issues with, and I think for the most part, you'll start to see these guys trickle in here any minute.
Gregorius strikes out. Diamondbacks strand 2. Ray Montgomery, Diamondbacks director of scouting. Hey, great job, man.
Thanks, Steve.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Cam on Bark in the Park Day at Chase Field, and that is, we showed you the camera attached to the poor dog earlier. That they were running all over the park trying to get some shots right by the Ram truck out there. Boy, so far, Bob, Chad Godin has looked pretty good.
He really has. I mean, this is a guy that has paid his dues, obviously, over the course of his career. Signed a minor league contract with the Giants with the idea he would give them a little security in case they had some injuries. Signed on as a relief pitcher, but continue to stretch himself out, try to improve his pitch, his arm strength and his pitch count. And here he is starting a ball game for the Giants in a pennant race.
Taking Ryan Vogelsong's spot in the rotation. Vogelsong is injured, and Tim Lincecum is in the bullpen. Here's Andres Torres. He has singled, scored, and flied out 1 for 2. In fact, Bruce Bochy was asked if he's going to stick with Chad Godin as a starter. And Bochy said, if we have to make an adjustment, we will. Right now, he's in the rotation. And the other interesting part about that was, before his start last weekend, Bruce Bochy said that Tim Lincecum would be in the bullpen, where a lot of baseball people think his future may be anyway. So even without Vogelsong and some guys scuffling, Lincecum's in the bullpen and Godin's in the rotation. So they have had their own pitching issues. The normally pitching-rich Giants. Two and two. Giants on their longest road stretch this season. They're on the road for 9 straight. 3 at Chase Field this weekend. Then they go to Pittsburgh and then to Atlanta. There is the Panda. We have located the Panda. Enjoying a nice, hot, refreshing beverage. Aggravated a foot injury, had an MRI, still waiting news on the results of that, but not in the lineup today. Three and two. Seriously? Straight up in the air over the infield. Gregorius in front of second base. 1 away.
Today's broadcast is on AFN, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces, serving in 175 countries and aboard ships at sea. They're watching around the world in Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, and Japan. Welcome, and thank you all very much for your service.
We're pleased you're with us. Servicemen and women all over the world. Diamondbacks baseball on Bark in the Park Day from here in downtown Phoenix. Argo Scutero. Scutero has been on base twice. Singled and scored a run, walked. Diamondbacks have been out hit here 6-1. They trail at 3-0, trying to find some offense against Chad Godin in his second start this season. And they had a rough first with Tyler Skaggs on the mound. First 5 Giants hitters in that first inning reached. They went single, 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 walk single. 2 in the first. They just added 1 in the third on a double by Pence and a single by Perez. That one is high and deep to left. Off the pole, a home run. Marco Scudero's second home run this season. He's been on base 3 times today, and the Giants take a 4-0 lead.
Tyler Skaggs gave up a couple of bombs to the Cardinals at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. This time gets a pitch up on that inside part of the plate, and Marco Scutero, even though he carries his hands very low, is really quick on pitches from the middle of the plate in, as he proved right there.
He is 5 for 10 in the series so far. Buster Posey. That was no cheapie, about a third of the way up the foul pole, down the left field line. Third home run so far this year, given up by Tyler Skaggs. Buster Posey RBI single in the first, struck out looking in the second. It seems like, Bob, given what he throws, that Tyler every now and then is going to give up a few of those.
Yeah, I think so. He elevates that fastball. The curveball can occasionally hang. And just because of the style of pitcher that he is, fly ball, strikeout, some of those fly balls are going to leave the yard.
High and deep to center, A.J. Pollock backing up. He's underneath it on the track. 2 down.
Of course, the idea is to limit the damage. Don't walk guys ahead of the home run balls. And that's the case today. The solo bomb by Scudero. Trying to come inside. I mentioned Scudero was really quick. Pitch elevated, got out over the plate just enough that Scudero could barrel it up and give it a look down that left field line.
His second home run this year, 7th hit for the Giants. They lead it 4-0. 2 down in the 4th. Hunter Pence has walked, doubled, and scored a run. Pence homered last night. Almost with a Felix Mian kind of choke up on that bat. Not a whole lot of guys do that anymore.
Not very many, especially not guys that drive the ball the way Hunter Pence does. Occasionally you'll see a little slap hitting leadoff hitter choke up on the bat, but very rarely do you see those run producers in the middle of the lineup choke up. Of course, we mentioned it the other day. Barry Bonds used to choke up on the bat. It worked pretty good for him.
That one is crushed high in the air to right center. Calling off Pollock, or trying to. Pollock has it. That is a fly ball to right. But the Giants add another run. Marco Scudero second makes it 4-0. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Paul Goldschmidt, the National League's RBI leader, coming up. You in part by the UPS store. Flyers, business cards, brochures, and more. We can print that. Bark in the Park Day at Chase Field. This one has kind of been a dog so far for the Diamondbacks against Chad Godin, who's given up only 1 hit, as we take another look at Dog Cam roaming around the ballpark. Paul Goldschmidt, Miguel Montero, Martin Prado, 3, 4, and 5 in the 4th against Chad Godin. Goldie has an RBI in every game this month, batting .303 over that span. 17 runs batted in during an 8-game RBI streak, which has tied Luis Gonzalez's Diamondbacks record. So Goldie needs an RBI today to break Gonzo's record. National League's RBI leader with 58. Gonzo sweating this one out somewhere?
Gonzo never sweats.
That's true.
He's the coolest person on the face of the earth.
Over his last 25 games, Paul Goldschmidt is batting .351. Appropriate pet club advertisement behind the plate here on Park in the Park Day. What are you feeding the dog while you're dog sitting? You let the dog go crazy, feeding it Fig Newtons or anything?
No.
Or super high quality?
Whatever they brought, some kind of dog food.
Oh, they brought the food. Okay.
I'm not a big...
Knowing you're probably feeding it pizza.
No, see, I don't do that with dogs. Their system is not meant to handle people food, and I know it's tempting. They look, with those longing eyes. Please give me a bite of that pizza, but it's not good for the dogs.
How about a fat burger?
Yeah.
Look at the dog eyeballing that burger. All right, hey, glad to see it's alive. Posey holds on to the foul tip. Goldie strikes out, 1 down in the 4th. 3rd strikeout for Chad Godin. Fans, MLB.TV celebrates 11 years with new low prices. Watch every out-of-market game live on over 350 supported mobile devices or in HD quality with MLB.TV Premium. So visit MLB.TV today. It is baseball everywhere. Miguel Montero popped up to short his first time up, 0 for 1. Miggy with a pair of hits last night, including his 7th double of the season. He also drove in a run and just missed a home run. Hit very deep to right field, died right at the wall there. Miggy hit the ball well last night.
Yeah, ended up as a sac fly RBI on that drive out near the pool in right center field. We mentioned at the time, roof and panels open, it probably gets out of here easily, but with everything hermetically sealed last night, the ball just didn't carry the way we hoped it would.
And we're sealed up again today. Roof closed, panels closed, nice and comfortable inside. Missed with a little floater there. It's 2-1. Now here on Bark in the Park Day, what you can do at Chase Field is get your dog tags, your Diamondbacks dog tags engraved. I wonder how many D-backs fans are naming their dogs Goldie lately. I bet there's a big run on that. Miguel Montero based it up the middle. He's now hit safely in 13 of his last 17 games.
Good to see for Miggy. Finished the ball game last night with single, sac fly, double. And now a line drive single into center field here in his second at bat of this ball game. Starting to heat up a little bit.
Just the second hit for the Diamondbacks. 1 out, a man on. Martin Prado popped out his first time. Martin 0 for 7 in the series so far. Boy, the way Miggy hit the ball last night and the way he just lined that one right back up the box, got to feel pretty good.
There's an old saying, sometimes breaking out a slump, all it takes is one well-struck ball. Your timing perfect. You get the bat to the hitting zone quickly. You square it up and hit a line drive somewhere, and it all comes back to you. That feeling, that rhythm and timing that you need in order to do battle against these major league pitchers.
There's Gonzo, his RBI streak on the line. Paul Goldschmidt with an 8-game RBI streak. Goldie 0 for 2 so far today. One more and he breaks Gonzo's record. Two and 1 to Martin Prado.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 6 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Sedona Red in the house. Another big crowd. Diamondbacks fans have done a great job coming out for this series. They really have. This place has been full all weekend long. Just did get a piece of it and stays alive. There it is. Last night, 44,574. Friday night, 37,542. D-back Nation watching their first place Diamondbacks. Two and two. Got him. Fourth strikeout for Chad Godin. Martin Prado not happy with that called strike by Hunter Wendelstedt. And be careful here. Hunter Wendelstedt saying no more. That's enough. Go sit down.
Hunter Wendelstedt has long been one of the more inconsistent ball strike umpires, as he proves right here. Yeah, I don't want to hear any more. Even though I missed the call, you just go back and sit down.
That appeared to be below the knees. Jason Kubel. Jason struck out in a pinch hit appearance last night. It snapped his 5-game hit streak. Another guy that's been swinging the bat a little better, especially from that left side.
Well, I'm not great at math, but if Jason Kubel could touch one up here and cut into that lead, at least give some momentum to that third base dugout. Godin has had a rather easy go of it up to this point of the game.
He's got 4 strikeouts. He's given up only 2 hits, both singles. 48 pitches, 33 for strikes. He's been very good. Jason Kubel's last home run, April 29th at Chase Field against these Giants. Since that last homer, Jason has hit .218 in 25 games and slugged just .269 over that span. 2 doubles, a triple, and 10 RBIs. There's one hard to right. Drops in front of Hunter Pence. Montero to second. 2 on, 2 outs for the Diamondbacks. And A.J. Pollock stepping in.
Good solid contact. Unfortunately, a little bit of topspin on this line drive toward the gap in right center. Looked like it may split that gap for extra bases, but Hunter Pence hustles over there, surrounds that ball and gets it back in. D-backs have him at first and second with 2 outs here for A.J. Pollock.
A.J. struck out to lead off the third in his first at bat. 1 for 5 last night. RBI double in the 6th. He scored a run. A.J. has hit .345 over his last 15 games. Sit. Might drop. Get down, ball. And it does. Here comes Miguel Montero. RBI single for A.J. Pollock. RBI number 22. And the Diamondbacks are on the board. It's 4-1. Singles by 3 of the last 4 Arizona batters.
Sometimes you have to talk to him. Sit down, ball. Sounded like a broken bat by A.J. Pollock. Hit that one right out near the end of the bat. Perez in center field froze initially, and by the time he was able to recover, he can't get there to make the play. D-backs are on the board.
And the red-hot Cliff Pennington steps in. Kubel at third, Pollock at first. Pennington a single his first time up. Godin misses there, 1-0.
Seems appropriate on Bark in the Park Day that you say, sit, ball, sit. At least the ball listens.
Pennington has hit safely in 8 of his last 9 games, batting .435 over his last 8 games. Look out. Ooh, that was hard, right into that first row of seats behind the D-backs dugout. Hopefully everybody's okay. Not a lot of time to get out of the way of that one. Pennington a switch hitter. This is his good side, batting .281 as a left-hand batter, just .146 from the right side. Something might be wrong with Chad Godin here. He's calling into the dugout. Here comes Bruce Bochy. He might be hurt.
No trainer making his way out to the mound. Buster Posey continues to look over there on the third base side where that foul ball ended up.
That was it. He was kind of gesturing for the visit. Appears to be all right.
A strange visit that time. To have the manager come out, talk to the pitcher, and then immediately go back into the dugout. Not sure what that's all about.
You see the platoon splits for the switch hitting Cliff Pennington. Yeah, they called a balk. I just looked up. I thought, wait a minute. Jason Kubel was at third base a minute ago. Everybody moved up.
Well, snuck that one in on us there. I was kind of taking a look down there behind the Diamondbacks dugout to make sure everybody was okay. I didn't actually see the balk.
A run is in. It's 4-2. All right. We'll go back through the tape and see if we can find it. Well, now we know what the visit was about. And they're going to walk Pennington and work to the pitcher. Okay, let's take a look at what we have. This may or may not be what is apparently a balk.
Tyler Skaggs.
No signal from Wendelstedt behind the plate, and that was the one that Cliff lined behind the dugout.
A very abbreviated stop, if at all. Yeah, here comes the runner home from third base. The balk apparently called by one of the base umpires. Yeah, it just looked like Godin didn't come to a stop out there at all that time. Got his signal from Buster Posey, went into his set position, and just kind of glided right into his delivery without coming to a discernible stop.
So Kubel came in. Pollock moves to second. Pennington on base after the intentional walk. Here's the 0-1 to Tyler Skaggs. That may have been the sneakiest run in baseball history. Tyler does have a couple of hits this year. He's 2 for 5.
And the Giants playing him way around to the opposite field. Andres Torres out there in left field, nearly guarding the line. Center fielder Juan Perez, shaded way over into the gap in left center. If Tyler Skaggs could pull one into that gap in right center, it would be off to the races.
Struck him out. 5 strikeouts for Chad Godin. But a run comes in and an RBI single and a secret balk. It's 4-2 after 4. brought to you in part by Ram Trucks, proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks. And by Gila River, another proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Craig Gibson is the crew chief and the third base umpire. Let's take a look at his Gibson who called the balk.
Now you see the umpire there on the left of your screen, and as I mentioned, Chad Godin did not come to a discernible stop. Gibson called it immediately, but as that ball was fouled over the third base dugout, everybody was distracted looking over that direction. Buster Posey saying, what in the world's going on?
Yeah, and everyone looked to the dugout, and Bruce Bochy eventually came out. No argument. So that's where we are, 4-2, as we are set for the fifth. Arias, Belt, and Perez against Tyler Skaggs. Diamondbacks have been out hit 7-4.
Well, this might be the biggest inning of the game for Tyler Skaggs right here. His team finally broke through against Chad Godin, and the Giants put a couple runs on the board, cut that lead in half, have a little bit of momentum on their side of the field. Got to put a 0 up there right now.
Arias RBI single in the first, grounded out his last time up, 1 for 2. The offense has come alive this weekend. Cliff Pennington at second base. Here's Brandon Belt. Belt 3 for 5 last night, but so far 0 for 2. After the weekend, the Diamondbacks hit the road again, but when they get back, come out to Chase Field and join us to watch the Miami Marlins starting June 17th. And you can get tickets for $9 with value concessions every game. Log on now, dbacks.com/tickets. We're home for only 3 days. After the game today, everyone's on a plane for LA, 3 against the Dodgers, then 3 against the Padres, and back home for that Marlins series. That one is hard down the line and foul.
And Marlins team, the only team in the majors to not reach 20 victories on the season yet. Only 17 going into play today. That one well fouled down the third base line. Although the Marlins did put another whipping on the Mets today. They don't seem to beat anybody else, but they handle that Mets ball club.
Got Lomo back. That's really high up in the air to right. Gerardo Parra at the wall, and he will watch it go. Brandon Belt's 7th home run. It's 5-2 San Francisco. Brandon Belt is a problem for the Diamondbacks, and it's an ongoing problem.
Miggy's outside. The pitch stays over the inside part of the plate. I talked about it earlier. He handles that ball from the middle of the plate in, whether it's a fastball or an off-speed delivery, extremely well.
A home run by Scudero in the 4th. Now Belt in the 5th. 5-2 Juan Perez. And his first major league hit in RBIs last time up. And that pitch seemed to go back to what we were talking about earlier, Bob, with Tyler Skaggs, is once these guys get a few looks at that curveball, a little better chance to square one up. Goldie looks at it, and he has a play. 2 down.
Especially when you leave that breaking pitch just hanging there over the inside part of the plate. Brandon Crawford intentionally walked his last time up, struck out in the first, 0 for 1. Struck out back in the first, chased a couple of high fastballs early in the count, and I mean high up above the letters. And then Skaggs was able to put him away with that big breaking ball.
95 pitches for Tyler Skaggs, 57 for strikes. There's a swing and a miss. So the Diamondbacks bullpen is busy with Tyler nearing 100 pitches. Matt Reynolds, the big left-hander, is warming up. Brandon Crawford has hit it in only 3 of his 7 games this month, but he's had multi-hit games each time. 3 for 4 on June the 1st, 2 for 4 on the 2nd, 4 for 5 last night. Every other game this month he's gone hitless. Feast or famine. 1-2.
Has him set up to do exactly the opposite of what he did the first time. First time I mentioned, threw a couple of high fastballs, finished him with the curveball. This time he's gotten ahead with the curveball, could possibly finish him off. Nope, goes another breaker.
Paul Goldschmidt. Another run in for the Giants on Brandon Belt's 7th home run. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Leading off the 5th is Gerardo Parra. Arizona Diamondbacks Sunday Baseball is presented by Sanderson Ford. Bark in the Park Sunday at Chase Field. Diamondbacks got the offense going a little bit in the 4th. 2 runs on 3 hits. They gave 1 back on the Brandon Belt home run, so it's 5-2 as we're set for the 5th inning with the top of the order on Bark in the Park Day. And about 1,000 dogs here today. All the Diamondbacks fans registered their dogs online at dbacks.com. We'll have another Bark in the Park Day coming up later this year if you want to get involved. Gerardo Parra 0 for 2. Chad Godin pitching a beauty here, 60 pitches. And there's a strike, 0-1. Parra has hit safely in 12 of his last 14 games, batting .362 over that span. 21 hits in his last 14 games.
Now, Parra has spent most of the season in that leadoff spot, which explains some of the numbers in the National League rankings. The D-backs #1 in batting average from the leadoff spot, #1 in hits from the leadoff spot, and second only to the Cardinals in runs scored out of the leadoff spot.
This is Parra's 44th start in the leadoff spot. He's batted .312 as the Diamondbacks leadoff man so far and scored 37 runs in those 43 starts. And A.J. Pollock has done a great job too, batting in that position. 1-2 now.
Here's some of the numbers we were talking about.
Write them in. Not on the All-Star ballot for the game at Citi Field in New York, and the campaign continues. Arias at third, tackles it down there, picks it up, and they get on a nice scoop by Brandon Belt. Joaquin Arias took his time, recovered, made the play.
Great defensive play on both ends that time. Ball coming off the bat of a left-hander tends to shoot through that left side rather quickly, but Arias knocks it down, scrambles after it, throws from his knee across the diamond. A lot of sink on that particular toss, but Brandon Belt able to dig it out for the out on the other end.
Parra 0 for 3. Didi Gregorius struck out his last time up. He's 0 for 2. There's the strike, 0-1. Didi has hit in 9 of his last 11 games, a .311 clip over that span. He scored 10 runs in those 11 games.
Wow.
Just inside there.
Not sure if that was a cross up or whether that ball did something that surprised Buster Posey. Ooh, boy, I talked about it last night. That glove just hangs off his fingertips back there, and that one actually knocked the glove right off his hand.
My bad.
Yeah, I'll think about that when I'm icing my wrist after the game.
That thing was moving.
Yeah, I think he was expecting that to be a breaking ball, probably a slider, since that's the breaking pitch that Godin throws. Started to move his glove further out, or rather inside to Didi, and fastball caught him right on the heel of the glove.
Coming inside again, but misses up.
How do you cross up a catcher with nobody on base giving one sign?
Said the former catcher.
Yeah, pitchers. Come on.
3-2. Last year, Chad Godin, a Miami Marlin, 46 appearances with Miami, all in relief. Went 4-2 with a 4.54 ERA. 3-2 to Didi Gregorius. Got him. 6 strikeouts for Chad Godin.
Well, we were told Godin just pounds away at the bottom of that strike zone all day, and that's been a very effective pitch for him. That low fastball right at the bottom of the knees.
And the Diamondbacks heading west after this game. 3-game series with the Dodgers starting tomorrow. Wade Miley and Clayton Kershaw. You got to watch that. A couple of good young lefties in the NL West. Coverage begins with Diamondbacks Live, 6:45, only right here on Fox Sports Arizona. Paul Goldschmidt is 0 for 2. He struck out his last time. There's Wade Miley. Paul Goldschmidt starting the day with a .405 on base percentage, 5th best in the league, and that speaks to what we've seen to be his much improved patience at the plate. Really laying off those pitches down and away for the most part. And that's where they're working it. Don't come inside to Paul Goldschmidt, because that'll happen. Hunter Pence into the wall. He has it. And that ends the 5th. Goldie has hit the ball to that same spot twice today. Both times it's been an out. Once by Perez, that time by Pence. We're through 5. The Giants lead at 5-2. Arizona Fan Express, brought to you by Cox Communications and Fry's Food Stores, is ready to take you to a Diamondbacks game. All you got to do is stop by this month's participating Fry's store in Tucson or Cox retail store in Surprise, and you can enter to win 2 seats on the Fan Express bus. You put on your D-backs gear, you get a whole bus of D-backs fans, and it's Sedona red. You got Goldie on the side there. They drive you to the game, then they drive you back. It's tremendous. Take care of everything.
No gas money, no parking.
Tickets are there. The whole thing is taken care of for you.
No kids in the back seat saying, how much longer?
Well, we just had Ray Montgomery, the director of scouting, in the booth. Perhaps we should have Ray talk to that young lady who apparently is carrying a future Diamondback star. Getting early on the kid. Chad Godin. Tyler Skaggs over 100 pitches now. And a nice catch by the guy wearing the wrong colored shirt.
Wrong colored shirt, sir. No contract for you.
Don't even think about it, Sparky. Don't even think about it.
Score some points. You give it to a kid. Yeah.
Here comes Cliff Pennington. A little shovel flip, and Goldie whiffs on it. Nice play by Cliff. Goldie just couldn't get a handle. Well, Cliff Pennington is a tremendous defensive infielder.
Yeah, very tough to control that glove-to-glove flip right there. Boy, I think that error has to go to Goldie. Man.
He's right there.
Yeah.
Base hit. So Chad Godin is in the hit column for the first time this year, and Miguel Montero will have a conversation. 102 pitches now for Tyler Skaggs, 63 for strikes. And the delay, the slowdown. This is the Diamondbacks version of the four corners offense. And now Gibby will come out and make the move. Brad Ziegler coming in, and Tyler Skaggs day ends after 102 pitches. He has given up 5 runs on 8 hits. He's responsible for 1 base runner, 4 strikeouts. Pitching change at Chase Field. We'll take a break. Even if you're a dog on Bark in the Park Day, you got to check out the new Grab and Go outside section 104 here at Chase Field. Great place to find all your favorite Pepsi products. You can look for the QR and scan for your chance to win great prizes and great Pepsi products, even for dogs on Bark in the Park night with Dog Cam. Outside section 104. That's what Grab and Go looks like from the dog point of view. Working like a dog again is Brad Ziegler. He's going just about every day these days. Brad appeared in Friday night series opener, worked 2/3 of an inning, got 2 ground outs on 4 pitches. What else is new? Andres Torres. By the way, they have changed the scoring on that last play. They have taken the base hit away from Chad Godin, and that is now E3. Error on Paul Goldschmidt on Cliff Pennington's scoop flip to Goldie. Goldie couldn't quite get the handle on it, so E3 there. Godin aboard to lead off the 6th inning. Right field, Gerardo Parra coming in. Drops in front. They're going to play at second. And Godin is out. Gerardo Parra, right him in. Godin had to hold up, and he was a dead duck when it dropped in.
Parra is always looking to get that lead runner. Watch him bare hand this ball. Doesn't even get a glove on it. Fires a one-hop strike to Didi in time to get the Giants pitcher at second. And that's a big old hang with him for Andres Torres. What looked like a base hit into right field turns into a fielder's choice put out at second base.
He looked like a shortstop or a middle infielder just fielding a routine grounder on a belt-high hop. Gerardo Parra, what a season. Marco Scutaro homered his last time. He's also singled and walked. 2 for 2. He's scored twice. 7 outfield assists now for Gerardo Parra.
I think that's the second time this year he's done that. A similar play, a humpback line drive into right field. The runner at first wasn't sure whether to go or not. Parra realized that if he gets to the ball quickly and makes an accurate throw, he could get the force at second base. Just amazing the way he plays defense.
He brings the want. Brad Ziegler has allowed a run in just 2 of his last 15 appearances. He has been outstanding lately. Over his previous 11 1/3 innings, Brad has allowed only 7 hits with 10 strikeouts. 77 double plays in due since 2008. He is the double play king. Coming into the game, Brad had totaled 62 ground ball outs and 7 flyouts.
And I mean, Brad throws a slider, a little flat frisbee like slider, and he's thrown more changeups this year than in years past, but basically just does it with that sinking submarine fastball.
It ain't broke.
Yeah, why fix it? It was kind of shocking to see Andres Torres get that ball in the air to right field. Most of the time it's just pounded into that dirt in front of home plate.
Wednesday in St. Louis, he had another 1-pitch instant out Brad Ziegler gig. 5th time this year he's come in and thrown 1 pitch to get the out. Torres takes off. That's fouled out of play.
Well, that was hit or be hit right there. Hit and run by the Giants that time. It's the hitter's responsibility to protect that runner. That tailing fastball looked like it was destined for Marco Scutaro's kneecap until he got a bat on it and pulled it foul.
Torres holds. Scutaro, Pennington, Gregorius, Goldschmidt. The double play king continues to reign. 5-2, bottom 6 coming up. 5-2, Giants lead the Diamondbacks, tossing out some T-shirts on top of the dugouts. It's Baxter and his buddies. It's Baxter's birthday today, Bob, and all his mascot buddies had a big party for him.
Big celebration. Probably go into the wee hours of the evening, going the way Baxter likes to get after.
Those guys can get crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I tell you, the Gorilla is here.
Howler from the Coyotes.
Sparky, the Sun Devil.
Louis the Lumberjack from northern Arizona.
Who looks just like our director, Mitch Riggin. And all here to celebrate Baxter's birthday. Some of them brought dates, apparently. There's the Gorilla in the house. The Gorilla is still one of the all-time underrated mascots for me. Dunking off trampolines, flying around. Miguel Montero singled and scored his last time up. He's 1 for 2. Diamondbacks trying to get something going against Chad Godin, who's up to 73 pitches. They got 2 runs on 3 hits back in the 4th. But Godin has been outstanding, only 4 hits so far.
Not only a big day for D. Baxter, but a big day for Ralph Kelso, the president of the D. Baxter fan club, enjoying the festivities here today.
There's Ralph.
Ralph, hey!
Hey, Bobby.
Now, Ralph, how did you get to be president of the fan club?
Tommy Brennan blessed me with that.
He's your guy.
Take 4.
Take 4. It's a lot of responsibilities, I guess. A lot of administrative paperwork.
I'm sure.
Conventions. Birthday parties. It's sad that Ralph, as president, has to work on Baxter's birthday. This place is Mascot Central today. Hitters count here for Miggy. Bark in the Park Day at Chase Field, as we mentioned. How about that? Oh, that guy's excited. Famous cartoon dogs.
Yeah.
Scooby.
I love you, George.
Underdog. Who was the arch villain that Underdog was always?
That one I can't help you with. I wasn't a big Underdog fan.
No?
I just thought he's a Superman knockoff.
I'm not going to sit here and listen to you denigrate Underdog.
Come up with your own colors. Those have been taken.
Now there's a superhero dog for sure. He's been in that same position for 6 innings.
He walked in some super glue, and when he put his paws up there on the railing, he is there forever. Every day is Bark in the Park Day for that dog.
Posey holds on to the foul tip. Now 7 strikeouts for Chad Godin in 5 1/3.
Yeah, he's stuck.
Yeah, might be. Martin Prado struck out looking his last time up on a low pitch called a strike by Hunter Wendelstein. This is going to drive me nuts. I got to look it up. Where were we without Google?
The Underdog nemesis is.
It was the mad scientist guy, Simon Bar-Sinister.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's good work by Google. Simon Bar-Sinister was Underdog's arch nemesis. $80 pitches for Godin, 51 for strikes. Simon Bar-Sinister was always trying to kidnap sweet Polly Purebred. Brandon Crawford not exactly pure on that one, but he recovers in time. 2 down. Dog theme continues here, BB.
I mean, how can you top Lassie?
Now I picture the dog, your dog, sitting as kind of a Toto.
A little bit that size, maybe a little bigger than Toto. I believe.
Is that Doug from Up? Did you see Up?
I did not.
Doug in that movie is extremely funny. My wife makes me watch all the cartoon movies. If there's a cartoon, we're there. Jason Kubel singled and scored a run. Came in on the mysterious balk. Squirrel!
I mean, Lassie could communicate with humans. What's up, girl? Timmy's in the well?
At the old mill. That one is down the line. It's a fair ball. Jason Kubel will take the turn. Hunter Pence plays it off the wall, and Jason Kubel is aboard with his 5th double this year.
The 2-for-3 day against Chad Godin today. Now 9 for 13 lifetime. That one banged off the wall out there in right field. Took a very nice carom as far as Hunter Pence was concerned. That ball came right back to him. Otherwise, Kubel could have possibly been thinking 3 on that ball down into the right field corner.
Kubel's hit in 6 of his last 7. A meeting at the mound with Posey and Godin about what to do with A.J. Pollock. An RBI single his last time. He's 1 for 2. .345 over his previous 15 games, and a chance to get a little closer right here. Center field, Perez tracks it down. That ends the inning. Diamondbacks get a hit. They leave 1. We're through 6. They trail it 5-2. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Mazda. We believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. Bark in the Park. 5-2. Diamondbacks trail the Giants. About 1,000 dogs on Dog Camp. 1,000 dogs registered at dbacks.com for Bark in the Park Day. We'll have another one later this year. If you want to get involved, go to dbacks.com.
Yeah, unlike most days here at Chase Field when we have ceremonial first pitches and somebody goes out and throws the ball to a catcher, they had a dog on the mound and rolled the ball toward home plate and let the dog retrieve it. Nice touch.
All inclusive. Buster Posey. RBI single in the first. He's 1 for 3. Brad Ziegler still out there. By the way, when we were trying to figure out Underdog's arch nemesis Simon Bar-Sinister, Brad's father actually tweeted in Sweet Polly Purebred. So he's linked in. Didi Gregorius, it's off the glove. Posey's aboard. Would have been a very difficult play. Posey aboard. He'll lead off the 7th. Hunter Pence.
Time to take a look at our Ram trucks, tools of the trade. Tremendous running catch out there in the outfield earlier in the ball game by Juan Perez. And Hunter Pence has taken a couple of extra base hits away from Paul Goldschmidt today out there in that right field corner.
And to right. Posey stops at second. Hunter Pence has been on base 3 times today, a single, a double, and a walk.
I'll tell you, those were 2 very good defensive plays for the Giants outfield, but that play that Perez made on A.J. Pollock to end the bottom half of the 6th inning is one of the finer catches you'll ever see, only because Perez was moving at contact. He was off like a shot to run down that line drive to center field.
He had to be, because that was really well hit. I think Sparky behind the Diamondbacks dugout has started an ASU chant. Joaquin Arias, RBI single in the first, 1 for 3. Mascots were getting a little antsy, so they started some cheers just on their own, some renegade cheers. There's Mitch Riggin with the day off today. Scorch in the house. Oh, 0-2. Got Big Red, the Cardinal mascot, right behind the plate. Big Red got some good seats back there, right in the front row.
Big Red, what a ham, posing for pictures back there,
making a muscle. He's doing that thing where he pretends to walk down the stairs and then back up, like Steve Carell from The Office.
Pretty soon he'll be in that invisible box, you know, the mime.
I'm in this nutshell. How did I get in this crazy nutshell? You got tickets to everything. Are you a Cardinals ticket guy?
I don't have tickets, but I go to a lot of the games. That's a great venue over there. Fun place to watch a football game.
Here's the 0-2. That whole complex out in Glendale's terrific. Went to a bunch of Coyotes games after we moved here. There's a lot going on out there. On Bark in the Park Day, Dog is here. Very cool with those sunglasses.
I got nothing to offer you there. You're on your own.
You're not a Dog, the bounty hunter guy?
No.
My mom watches that show. He hunts guys, I think, but he doesn't have a gun. I think he's got like a stun gun or something. Broken bat, Prado at third. Has to hurry. They get the out. Everyone moves up 90 feet. Posey to third, Pence to second, 1 out. This is what you need. Brandon Belt coming up with men on second and third.
Yeah, this particular swing by Joaquin Arias is not going to make its way onto an instructional video. Wow, watch this 2-strike hack. I mean, it was effective. He moved the runners up after trying to bunt the first delivery, and ultimately ends up doing that with that very unorthodox broken bat swing.
First base unoccupied. Brandon Belt, who homered his last time up, the left-hand hitter, will be walked, and they'll work to the righty Juan Perez, who so far has had a good day in his major league debut. 1 for 3 with an RBI single, a couple of sparkling catches. And they will set the table for Juan Perez. First base open, makes very little sense to pitch to Brandon Belt with a rookie right-hander on deck. And they will recall Perez, and here comes Tony Abreu, the former Diamondback. Came in last night's game at second base, went 0 for 2. Former D-back in 2010, played 81 games with Arizona. And Abreu just reinstated from the 60-day DL before the game yesterday, taking the place of Nick Noonan. Noonan was here Friday night for the series opener, but was sent down to AAA Fresno afterwards. So they walk Belt, and Abreu will hit for Perez.
Well, certainly Bruce Bochy knows his team a lot better than I do, but I find it hard to take that kid down the kind of day he's having. No past history between Abreu and Ziegler. Thought maybe there were some historical numbers that would point to this particular matchup, but these two have never hooked up before.
Abreu, the switch hitter, batting left-handed against the righty Ziegler. Right to Pennington. Can they roll it here? Didi. Brad Ziegler, ladies and gentlemen. Home half of the seventh coming up. The dog that wore dog camp. What's the dog's name again? Dax. He's trying to grab and go, but sir, you're going to have to lower that a little bit.
No teasing. Dax, good boy.
Dax on the dog cam on Bark in the Park Day, Chase Field.
I'm not sure, but I think that probably violates several union rules. But we're glad to have Dax with us today, and he is very cooperative.
Bark in the Park, 1,000 dogs registered at dbacks.com. And as we said, we'll do it again later this year. A couple of changes to pass along for the Giants after God Bless America here. The Giants hit for Juan Perez, so he's out of the game. First will start on the mound. New pitcher is Jose Mijares. And we saw Jose Mijares close out the game last night.
Gave up a leadoff single to Cliff Pennington off the bench, punched out a couple of hitters, but then gave up the Willie Bloomquist double to drive home Cliff Pennington.
And so Mijares is on the mound, and with Perez out of the game, Gregor Blanco goes out to play center field. Blanco started in center in the first two games.
Never too early to think pennant race. Been watching that Colorado-San Diego game on the big board out in left and right field. Colorado had a 4-0 lead over the Padres, but the Padres have come storming back. Home runs by Nick Hundley, Cameron Maben, and Mark Kotze. Padres now lead 5-4 in the top of the 8th.
Blanco is in the 9 spot after Crawford after the double switch, so that's what the Giants lineup looks like. Here's Cliff Pennington. He's been on base twice, single and intentional walk. Willie Bloomquist has a bat. He will hit in the pitcher's spot. Skied way up on the left-hand side and sneaking out of play. Almost hit a girder up there.
If I'm not mistaken, the first ball to hit the rafters here at Chase Field, then Bank One Ballpark, Yamil Benitez hit a pop-up that actually went up and over the girders and came back down onto the field of play. And I'm told that's the only one in the history of this ballpark to get up into the rafters.
They seem to have gotten the height exactly right. Every time somebody really skies one straight up, it comes just shy. Pennington 146 this year as a right-hand hitter. Two and two. Diamondbacks have been out hit 10-5. They trail it 5-2. Giants got 2 in the first against Tyler Skaggs. First 5 men reached, 4 singles and a walk. In the air to left. Torres coming in. Crawford backing up. Brandon Crawford will take it. 1 down. Here's Willie Bloomquist. Willie on base twice yesterday, a walk and RBI double. He scored a run. 12 for 24 to begin his season. Maybe another superlative crowd of Diamondbacks fans today. 38,222.
Brings the 3-game attendance this weekend against the Giants over 120,000. Way to go, fans.
Scudero at second base. 2 up, 2 down. Hey fans, make plans now to spend Friday, July 5th at Chase Field. D-backs take on the Colorado Rockies. 15,000 fans get a Stars and Stripes t-shirt and a big 4th of July day-late fireworks spectacular after the game. So grab tickets now and celebrate America's birthday with us at Chase Field. dbacks.com/tickets anytime you want, or pick up a phone and call. Oh, she's doing it right there. 602-462-4600. Yes, sir. I'll take 4. Gerardo Parra is 0 for 3. I think we're at the Mets for 4th of July.
Yeah.
The end of a long road trip. Base hit. Parra is hit safely in 13 of 15. He's 1 for 4 with a 2-out single.
Parra's been carving that ball to the opposite field really nicely lately, either driving it through that left side or slicing it over the head of the left side infielders. Really using the whole field lately.
Boy, Didi can't catch a break. He was struggling, and now he gets in there against the lefty. Maharis, he has struck out his last 2 times up. Paul Goldschmidt awaits his chance. Left field, Andres Torres. Diamondbacks get a 2-out single. They leave 1. We're through 7. They trail it 5-2. Time for our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool play of the game. Another outfield assist for Gerardo Parra.
Yeah, this is unofficial, but I do believe Gerardo Parra leads the team in Chaz Roberts' cool plays of the game. None cooler than this one. A barehanded grab in right field, a rocket one-hopper to second base for the force out.
He has been something to watch. Diamondbacks will open the 8th with a new pitcher, the big lefty Matt Reynolds on the mound. Suffered a blown save in the 14-inning win at St. Louis on Tuesday. Also worked an inning Thursday at Busch. Gave up 2 runs on 3 hits in 2 innings. Still an outstanding walks plus hits divided by innings pitched ratio at 106. Brandon Crawford is 0 for 2. He was intentionally walked in the 3rd. Hops up a bunt.
Well, that's something you always have to be aware of with a left-handed hitter against a left-handed pitcher, especially leading off an inning. Sometimes your best chance to get on base against a tough lefty is try to bunt your way on.
One and one. Since his streak of 19 scoreless appearances to open this season ended on May the 12th, Matt Reynolds has struggled. 0-2, a 5.19 ERA. Since that streak ended to begin the year, opponents have hit .325 against him. 1-2. 6 runs on 13 hits and 8 2/3 over that span, including a couple of home runs.
And some of his outings over that stretch where he has struggled, it's just been a question of command. He's left that breaking ball up in the strike zone. He hasn't been able to get that fastball out onto the corners like he did early in the season.
third base, Martin Prado. Playing well over in the shortstop position, really, with the defense shifted toward the right side of the field against Crawford. Here is Gregor Blanco, was double switched into center field with a hit for Perez. Gregor Blanco, pair of doubles and a walk last night. He was on base 3 times.
Another lefty looking to bunt against Matt Reynolds. Blanco 182 against left-handed pitching this year, 277 against righties.
He's hit safely in 5 of his last 6 games. One and two. It got stuck a bit under that top part of the wall and didn't kick straight out to Parra. And Blanco, with good speed, turned it into a triple.
Yeah, this ball ricochets all over the place down there in that right field corner, like a 4-cushion bank shot shooting pool. By the time Parra was able to get it back in, overthrow the first cutoff man. And Blanco in with a triple.
So he's hit safely in 6 of 7. Andres Torres, the leadoff man, infielded on the edge of the grass with Blanco at third. Torres singled and scored in the first. He is 1 for 4. Out of play. Giants have won 8 of their last 10 at Chase Field. They just have some good mojo going in this ballpark. In the air to left. Kubel froze, backs up a little bit now in the sun out there. Blanco will tag, and he will score easily. 6-2 Giants. That's how they do it. He hit it right to the one sunny spot in that outfield. Marco Scutaro hit into a double play his last time up, but other than that, he's had a tremendous day. Singled and scored in the first, walked in the second, solo home run in the fourth.
That bottom hand of Marco Scutaro as he gets in the batter's box just holds that handle of the bat so loosely in that left hand. You know, Goldie does a similar thing with his left hand as he holds the bat back over his right shoulder. Scutaro holding his bat right out in front about belt level. Real loose grip with that left hand.
Hard to left. That's going to roll in front of the bullpen. Scutaro will take a big turn and stop at first. Jason Kubel did a good job of getting over there and cutting that off. Scutaro thought hard about a double there, but he decided not.
A lot of left fielders in the game would concede a double on that ball hit toward the left field line down near the Diamondbacks bullpen, but Jason never quit on it, hustled over, got in front of the ball, and made an accurate throw to second to hold Scutaro to a single.
Buster Posey 2 for 4, RBI single in the first. Three RBIs last night, including his 8th home run. Oh, 0-1. Buster Posey had hit in 10 straight games last month, batting .421 during that streak, but since the streak ended on May 27th, he had hit just .231 over the next 10 games. Driven to the gap in right center. Parra chasing it down in front of the pool. And that ends the inning. Matt Reynolds gives up 2 hits and a run. Giants add 1. Bottom 8 on the way at 6-2. Diamondbacks trail at 6-2. They've been out hit 12-6, set for the bottom of the 8th at Chase Field. FoxSportsArizona.com. All the online local sports coverage you just can't find anywhere else, including coverage of today's game. Story on the Diamondbacks draft process, including one very special story. And a high jumper. They don't get enough attention. Hit one there, Goldie. FoxSportsArizona.com. New pitcher for the San Francisco Giants, Gene Machi. We saw him, it seems like we see him every game. He pitched yesterday. Went 2 innings, gave up 1 hit, couple of strikeouts.
He's been a nice piece for Bruce Bochy out of that Giants bullpen, playing matchups leading up to the 9th inning. 19 innings of work before today, giving up 17 base hits, struck out 17, walked only 4.
John Machi. Just called up from AAA Fresno May 18th, and congratulations, you get to face this guy, Paul Goldschmidt. Goldie 0 for 3 with a strikeout so far. MVP. On 1. Paul Goldschmidt, 8th round pick. We were talking about drafts earlier. Good player in college at Texas State, 2-time conference hitter of the year. But clearly as an 8th rounder, not on the top of anyone's list. So how did he get so good so quickly? Well, Goldie said the answer in part is because he's had the chance to play every day. He went straight to rookie ball at Missoula, played every day. High A Visalia, played every day. Double A Mobile, in there all the time. So a lot of at-bats, nearly 1,400 plate appearances in the D-backs minor league system between the ages of 21 and 23. Went down and got that one right back to Machie. One away. Goldie 0 for 4.
A little behind the back action there by the Giants right-hander. Wasn't in great fielding position, just kind of stuck his glove behind his back and knocked that one down. You'll see that little comebacker. Knocks it down with his glove, takes one hop, come right back to him. Easy out at first base.
Bruce Bochy to the mound. And that will be it for John Machie. He retires Goldschmidt. Job well done. Pitching change. We take a break. Jeremy Affeldt on the way.
Out here to Chase Field, we invite you to play Kachinko by signing up at one of the 16 interactive kiosks right here at Chase Field during any Diamondbacks regular season home game.
New pitcher for the San Francisco Giants. We saw him give up the Paul Goldschmidt home run on Friday. This is the left-hander, Jeremy Affeldt. The home run he gave up to Goldie, the first one he'd allowed since June 5th, 2012 at San Diego. He'd gone 62 1/3 without giving up a home run. That was the span of 70 games, but this was Friday. But of course, Goldie being a right-hand batter, that's a tough ask for Affeldt, and we in fact wondered why they pitched to him in the first place, given the left-hand right-hand matchup. Lefties just 2 for the last 21 off Affeldt, and here's a left-hand hitting Miguel Montero. Singleton scored in the 4th. He's 1 for 3.
Padres have stretched their lead over the Rockies 7-4, top of the 9th now at Coors Field.
This is shaping up to be a pretty good day for the Giants. On the ground to second, Marco Scutaro. 2 up, 2 down.
Third baseman, Martin Prado.
No one else throwing in the Giant bullpen, so Affeldt will face the right-hander Prado here. Martin 0 for 3 and 0 for 9 in this series.
You get the feeling we're going to see Sergio Romo in the 9th. He hasn't pitched yet in this series, and the Giants have a scheduled off day tomorrow on their way to Atlanta, or rather Pittsburgh, as this road trip continues. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see Romo in this game, even though it's not a save opportunity at this point.
Prado hitting .303 over his last 24 games, but he's had a tough series here so far. Oh for 3 on Friday, 0 for 3 with a walk yesterday, 0 for 3 so far today. Brandon McCarthy. It was reported yesterday that Brandon suffered a seizure in a Valley restaurant on Monday, which they decided was connected to the head injury suffered in Oakland last year. And fortunately, Brandon is okay. He's out with his wife Amanda in a very frightening moment for everyone in the restaurant. And apparently the staff there did a tremendous job. And Brandon said, "I don't remember anything because I was out, but Amanda was the hero."
They usually are, those wives.
Three and two. Tyler Skaggs, who started today, taking Brandon's rotation spot while he's out with that shoulder injury and apparently some other issues. Prado strikes out for the second time today. We head to the ninth. It's 6-2 Giants. Look. That, not so much. AT&T Twitter poll, we asked you your favorite dog breed, and 30% say the Terrier. I thought Golden Retrievers always win those contests.
I think we should have had one more category, my dog. Doesn't matter what your breed is. If he's your dog, you love him.
Park in the Park. Thanks to all those Diamondbacks fans who registered their dogs. Thanks to Dog Cam, which worked out really well. Dax did a great job. He was our APS Energy All-Stars we saw earlier. New pitcher for the Diamondbacks. This is the right-hander Will Harris. Hit pretty hard his last time out last night. 3 hits, a walk in 1 inning, including a home run to the first hitter he faced, Hunter Pence. Speaking of which, or of whom, I should say. And oh, by the way, he's been on base 3 times tonight. Walk in the first, double and scored in the third, single his last time up in the 7th. Oh, 2. Despite the rough outing last night, Will has pitched pretty well for the Diamondbacks lately. Last 8 games, a 1.23 ERA, 7 strikeouts, and 7 1/3. Take those numbers every time.
He's got a nice combination of pitches. We talked about it last night. That four-seamer with a little bit of cutting action. Throws it in the low 90s. Nasty curveball. Very tight rotation. Drops straight down.
It's from that Hernandez Bell school. Fastball power curve. His doesn't quite have as much on it as the other guys, but it's close. Will had 2 saves and 12 appearances at AAA Reno before he was called up. Had 23 strikeouts and 11 2/3 down there. There it is. A home run last night, a strikeout today. 1 down in the 9th.
That's that four-seamer up and in this time. Little bit of cutting action out over the plate. Pence with the big swing, comes up empty that time.
Walking Arias, RBI single in the first. He's 1 for 4. Playing today in place of the injured Pablo Sandoval. Had to come out of the game last night with that foot injury. And an MRI on the Panda's foot. Still waiting for some results. As you mentioned, BB.
Well, you just can't let your closer sit too long. Mentioned didn't pitch in the first 2 games of this series. That one will be handled by Will Harris, no problem. And with the off day tomorrow, you just want to make sure that Romo stays sharp, get him his inning of work here today.
First baseman, Brandon Belt.
Brandon Belt, solo shot in the 5th. Intentionally walked his last time up, 1 for 3. It was 3 for 5 last night. Wasn't quite the one-man wrecking crew he was last time he was here, but still pretty good series. 5 for 12 to this point.
There must be something about the water up in the Bay Area. The Giants, if this score stands and they win this ball game today, will have 20 wins this season against the National League West. The only other team in baseball to have 20 wins against their own division is the Oakland A's.
Well, with the big emphasis on divisional play, 19 games, it's the way to do it. Diamondbacks have 2 more big division series right after this game, on a plane to LA and then San Diego. Plane and a bus. Have you downloaded any movies for the bus ride from Dodger Stadium to Petco Park?
Not yet. Not yet. I've got a couple queued up and ready to go that I haven't had an opportunity to see. Saw a good one, though, coming back from St. Louis.
What do you got?
Buck. Documentary about the horse whisperer.
Oh, the actual guy, not Robert Redford.
Very impressive gentleman.
This was Brandon Belt against Tyler Skaggs back in the 5th.
I think Brandon ought to change his name to Buck. Buck Belt. I mean, he has belted the ball against the D-backs all season long. When you look up and down this lineup, obviously Sandoval's done his share of damage. Buster Posey's always a threat to do something big, but Brandon Belt is the guy that they just can't get out.
Nice job getting over there by Will Harris. A 1-2-3 ninth. Bottom 9 coming up. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Jason Kubel, A.J. Pollock, and Cliff Pennington. Diamondbacks down 6-2.
Well, after this brief stop here at home, it's back on the road. Diamondbacks taking on the Dodgers. Our next telecast starts with the pregame at 6:45. Miley against Kershaw. Great matchup of two left-handers. And Wade Miley at Dodger Stadium, 3-0 with a 2.17 ERA in 4 starts there. That will be just what the doctor ordered for this Diamondback starting rotation if he can continue that, guys.
Yeah, Jody, we could use some good starting pitching news. A little thin on that around here lately. Jeremy Affeldt will start the 9th inning against the left-hander Kubel. Romo has been warming up. Giants 24-0 and leading after 8. Two hits for Jason today. Singled and scored in the 4th. Doubled his last time up. Struck him out, 1 out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Affeldt. Here comes Bruce Bochy. We will see Sergio Romo. Pollock and Pennington, the scheduled hitters for Arizona. With 1 out in the 9th, pitching change. The closer is on his way in. Rally caps in place. Diamondbacks down to their final 2 outs. That is nice. And some work to do here as we wrap up Bark in the Park Day. Sergio Romo, the closer, is on. 16 for 18 in save chances. Not a save opportunity per se here, but just as Bob mentioned, needs some work.
Big time strike thrower. 25 punch outs this year, only 3 walks. Matter of fact, you go back to the beginning of the 08 season. A 5.77 strikeout per walk ratio for the Giants closer.
A.J. Pollock, RBI single in the 4th. He's 1 for 3. That was a first pitch strike. Romo has the National League's highest first pitch strike rate, 71.9.
Hey, you see that fastball there, a 2-seamer with a little bit of tailing, sinking action at 90. But his bread and butter are pitches that move the other direction. He throws a cutter, he throws a slider, he'll throw them in any count to any hitter.
He's been scored upon in only 5 of 27 outings. AJ behind 1-2. Got him. Second strikeout of the inning. First for Romo. Diamondbacks down to their last out. Cliff Pennington singled in the third, was intentionally walked in the fourth. 1 for 2. He's hit safely in 8 of his last 9 games. Eric Hinsky is on deck. He will hit for the pitcher should Cliff reach here with 2 outs. Diamondbacks live post-game show comes up right after the game. I think the wife is working today. Left-hand side, they may have a play here, and indeed they do. Arias corrals that one, and that's the ball game and the series. The Giants take 2 of 3. The Diamondbacks, Bob, lose 2 of 3 at home at Chase Field, but I guess the good news is they're still up by a game and a half.
Yeah, had a little cushion to work with coming into this series. Obviously, they would have liked to do much better against the San Francisco Giants, and they're going to have to turn this around. This is a team they're going to be dealing with all season long. The Giants aren't going anywhere. D-backs have to find a way to break through.
The Giants have had their number so far this season, so it's 6-2 here. San Francisco takes 2 of 3. Diamondbacks getting on a plane in just about an hour or so. They will fly to L.A. for 3 against the Dodgers, then a bus to San Diego for 3 at Petco Park against the Padres before it's coming back here to Chase Field. Let's go out to the field right now. Cindy Brunson starts off the postgame show.
Thanks so much. Getting set for the post-game report presented by Nissan here, Diamondbacks Live. Tough day at the office for the Diamondbacks as they fall to the San Francisco Giants by a final count of 6-2. The Giants virtually feasting on home cooking here at Chase. It's a good home away from home for them. They've won 9 of their last 11 games here. And of course, we do have an upside because it was Bark at the Park, the very first one for yours truly. So that was something to put a smile on my face. Let's break down the game as we continue on the program. After the break, we'll bring in Jody Jackson. She'll let us know what was going on with home plate umpire Hunter Windleston and that tight strike zone. That's next on Diamondbacks Live.